Hi, this video is going to show you how to use the new Blink eGOS system to submit a GOS1 form. I've got the current patient up here, T Woodhouse. You can obviously enter their clinical examination data in separately to eGOS. But one thing you do have to do in order to use eGOS is to record the examination in the Dispensing module. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into Dispensing. And whilst in Dispensing, I want to go to Funded Examination and click on NHS Site Test GOS1. Obviously, if they're purchasing additional items, spectacles, lenses, or other accessories, then you can also add them into the dispense at this point, but it's not essential. So I'm just going to leave the site test only in this particular dispense, and I'm going to place the order. Okay, now that I've placed the order, I can go ahead and complete the GOS1 forms. So on the left-hand menu, click on GOS, and there's two options here. I can either go straight into GOS1 by clicking on GOS1, which pops up the GOS1 form partially populated, or if I just close that down for a second, I could go into GOS voucher report, which lists all of the GOS forms that are currently available for completion. So here on the 8th and 6th, patient T Woodhouse, we've got a voucher type GOS1. So again, if I click on the blue GOS1 button, it opens up in a new tab the GOS1 form, partially completed, ready for me to fill in the details. The eligibility section here, some of the options may be disabled. So for example, this patient is neither over 60 or under 16, and so I can't select either of those two options. But I could select anything else, such as that they're over 40 and with a family history of glaucoma. They could be a prisoner, they could be at risk of glaucoma, or registered partially sighted. So whichever their options are, I can complete the form as appropriate. So in this case, I'm going to suggest that the patient is on universal credit. Here we can see that determine whether you've seen or not seen the evidence. So I'll select that I've seen the evidence. We could enter HC2 certificate information here if required. And then finally come down to the patient's declaration section. So again, the patient's name and address and date and so on is pre-populated. If I choose that it's actually the patient's parent or guardian, then I can edit, change this information if necessary. So in this case, I'm going to say it's the patient who's signing, and I click to sign. That pops up the signature box, which you can use either your mouse. I'm just using my mouse here to make a scribble on there. And if I refresh that, you could also use an external USB pen drive. So that would be connected to the computer and would act in the same way that a mouse would. So you could ask the patient to sign using the pen drive. Once they're happy with the signature, click OK, and that would put the signature into the box under the patient declaration section. Once you're happy with everything, make sure that everything is complete, then you can click the Save button up here on the top right-hand corner. If you do miss any information off here, the system will prompt you and tell you what you've not completed. If that is the case, then you will need to re-sign or ask the patient to re-sign after you've corrected the form. So always worth making sure that you've completed everything correctly before you click the Save button. Okay, so I've clicked Save. The front of the form has been saved, and we can now see the reverse of the form. I don't have to complete the form at this stage. I could do if I wanted to, but in this case, I'm going to close the tab down and move on. If I refresh this voucher summary report by clicking search, you'll see now that the buttons have changed slightly. I've got a view front button, which I could click to see the content of the form that we've just populated. and I've now got a view/edit reverse. If I do that, I can then go in and complete the reverse of the form. So obviously I can do that straight away, or I could do it later on. The final additional button we've got here is the delete button. If I click that, then that will delete the GOS1 vouchers from the record and allow me to re-enter the patient's the front of the form. So the patient would then have to re-sign that form. So if I now go into View, Edit, Reverse, I can select an ethnicity for the patient, put in the date of the site test, and the reason for retest if necessary. I'll just show you here. If I click on Save now, it comes back to say that I've not populated the performer contract names, numbers, etc., and I've not selected an outcome for the examination. So to make sure I do that, so patient was referred. Form's name, the form's name and list number should be pre-populated if you have stored an examination on the system for this particular patient. I'm going to click sign, and same way as before, put a scribble in there using my mouse or the USB pen, and do the same for the contractor. Once I'm happy that I've entered all of the data correctly, I can now save. I need to enter a retest code. Okay, so into that retest code. And as I mentioned earlier, if you make any changes, you then have to re-sign. So I'll just do that now. And click Save. Okay, it's taken me back to the voucher summary report. If I refresh that page by clicking Search, the same two buttons are here, so I can still view the front of the form, and I could view or edit the reverse of the form. But assuming I'm happy, I've now got the option on the right hand side to tick the box and click Submit Voucher. So that will submit this GOS1 form to PCSE for validation. The actual process of submitting and linking to the PCSE server is controlled or referred to by these three buttons at the bottom here. So if I ping PCSE server, that will just tell me whether or not the server is listening. Yeah, PCSE live server available. Refresh status will allow me just to refresh any GOS1 forms that may be waiting payment. It will just refresh the status of those. And as I say, when I'm ready, I can click Submit Voucher, which I won't do in this case because it's a dummy form. But there you go. That's how you submit your GOS1 forms to PCSE.